In today's video, I am going to be predicting match day 2 of the Champions League. There are 18 games to get through, so I better predict them quick because the Champions League starts tomorrow. Match day 2, let's get into it. Starting all the way over in Kazakhstan, it's Qarabag versus Real Madrid. Real Madrid have to travel 13 hours to Qarabag, so it is going to be a tough journey. But even though the journey is so massive and takes a long time, I still feel like quality is the main factor, and we all know Real Madrid have better players than Qarabag. I think Qarabag will get a goal after they got their first ever goal in the Champions League last time that they played, which was against Sporting where they lost 4-1, and that's good by Edmilson for Qarabag, but it's against Real Madrid, isn't it? I'm going 2-1 Real Madrid, but it's going to be close. At home, Qarabag is absolutely hyped, really hyped. So they're going to give it literally their all to try and make this as close of a game as possible. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the result is going to be, because Real Madrid has just slipped up, conceding 5 goals against Atletico Madrid in La Liga, losing that 5-2. So you never know. Qarabag could surprise us at home. Over to Italy, Atalanta versus Club Brugge. And I'm sorry, Club Brugge, I said for you to lose against Monaco, and guess what? You obviously won 4-1. A really good performance from you, and I think it's going to be a high scoring game because Club Brugge, you just drew 5-5 with Westerlo in the Belgian league. 5-5, that's 10 goals in one game. So I think there could be 4 or more goals in this game. And I'm not going to make the same mistake and go Club Brugge to lose. But because Atalanta's at home, and because there is still quality in Atalanta, I think they will get a point. But I am more tempting to go with Club Brugge to win, because you only just about scraped it against Juventus 1-1 in this Serie A Atalanta. Juventus could have easily taken the lead. And with you getting absolutely thrashed by PSG 4-0, and it could have been 5 or 6 or 7, I definitely don't think you're going to get a win. And a draw, I think, is fair. But if I would go for a win, Club Brugge would be my winner. A Desmond 2-2 between these two clubs. Over to France, it's Marseille versus Ajax. I'm sorry, Ajax, I don't have too much faith for you going against Marseille. You got barely any shots on target in your last game against Inter, so I think it's going to be a clean sheet for Marseille. Plus Marseille beat PSG in Ligue 1. So I just see it only one way, especially at home. Marseille's going to win this 2-0. And it was a very close game versus Real Madrid. They could have easily got a draw, but they just about missed out. But in this game, I think they've got it in the bag. Back over to Italy, Inter Milan versus Slavia Praha. And Inter Milan, that was a very comfortable win versus Ajax. Çalhanoğlu to Thuram. Literally the same corner twice. 2 assists for Çalhanoğlu and 2 goals for Thuram. Their set pieces and corners is going to be threatening. And against possibly one of the weaker sides, as we all can agree, in Slavia Praha, I definitely feel like at home as well, with Inter Milan already doing well in the Champions League last year, I really do feel like Inter are going to win this. I'm going for a 3-0 win to Inter. They are going to be by far the dominant side. Especially after, in the last Champions League game, Slavia Praha bottled the 2-0 win, which kind of loses me confidence. And Inter are just such a great side. Over to Stamford Bridge, Chelsea versus Benfica. And we all know in the news, Benfica sacked their manager and brought in Jose Mourinho, which I could imagine if he's the manager coming into this game, I could imagine a bit more of a low scoring game. And I think it is going to be a tight game, but with Chelsea at home, and Chelsea probably wanting to react well, because Chelsea have just lost 3-1 to Brighton. They've lost 2-1 to Man United. They only drew 2-2 with Brentford, and last time out, even though it could have easily been a draw, they still lost 3-1 against Bayern. So overall, the results for Chelsea in all competitions hasn't properly gone well in recent time. So I feel like a reaction definitely will happen. But as I said, with Jose Mourinho in charge of Benfica, don't think it's going to be as attacking, and it's going to be quite close. But Chelsea's got the quality step up. I'm going 1-0 Chelsea. Going over to Turkey, Galatasaray versus Liverpool. And Liverpool just lost 2-1 to Crystal Palace. And it was a deserved loss. I kind of seen it coming, that Liverpool at some point was going to drop points, whether it be a draw or loss. And I said they were going to drop points against Crystal Palace. They did. I only said they were going to drop 2 and draw it, but they dropped all 3 and lost it. And I still feel like in Liverpool, there are still some defensive concerns. And all their games, even against Southampton in the Qarabag Cup, they've been winning it marginally. Only just about winning against Atletico Madrid last time out in the Champions League, right near the end. And Liverpool, I do feel like you are going to win this. But honestly, if a 2-2 or 3-3 draw came out of this, I wouldn't be surprised, especially when Victor Osimhen for Galatasaray could be returning from injury. It's going to be tough, but I am going 4-2 to the better side in Liverpool. But it is going to be an exciting, high-scoring game. But surely Liverpool is going to react well, because they are a really good side, and for them not to react well would be surprising. 4-2 to Liverpool. Paphos versus Bayern Munich. And Paphos in the last game of the Champions League, it was a 0-0 draw. Nothing really to shout about, was it? But against Bayern, it's not going to be a 0-0 draw. I'm going 2-0 to Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, currently first of the Bundesliga, doing pretty well. They are obviously the better side. I don't think there's anything more to say between these two sides. Over to Bodo Glimt at home versus Tottenham Hotspur. A bit of a rematch from the semi-finalists of the Europa League. Tottenham obviously winning in the second leg away from home 2-0 last time out in the Europa League. So can they win away from home again? Now, I originally had this 1-1 between these two sides, but I can't do it. I think Tottenham are the better side. The last couple of results in the Premier League, they have drew them 2-2 against Brighton, which is a good point because I think Brighton should be challenging for around the top 7. And they obviously drew 1-1 versus Wolves, which I suppose is a terrible draw, to draw against a team which have lost every single game in Wolves. So it's not that convincing. That's why I'm going for a close game. If you think about it, Tottenham probably should have even drew 0-0 against Villarreal, because it was a really weird own goal by their goalkeeper, Villarreal. And you could say they got lucky, but I thought they did well to hang on to a clean sheet. But they still have looked phenomenal, Tottenham. They've gotten wins like against Man City, for example, which is a really good win. And their side is constantly going to be improving under Thomas Frank. And considering they managed to actually prove that they can win away from home against Bodo Glimt in the past, I feel like they're going to win. It's only going to be 1-0, and I'm so tempted to go 1-1. Over to Atletico Madrid, they're facing Frankfurt. And Frankfurt's been a bit crazy. A 6-4 win against Mönchengladbach, and a 4-3 loss against Union Berlin. And last time out in the Champions League, they faced Galatasaray and won 5-1. So there is one guarantee: there is going to be goals in this game. I'm actually hoping there is going to be loads of goals in this game, because I'm going to sound like an absolute fool for saying that if it doesn't happen. But I'm going 3-2 to Atletico Madrid. I'm going for goals, as I said. And Atletico Madrid, they just beat Real Madrid 5-2. Yeah, it's going to be close. I am tempted to go for a 3-3 draw. I'm very tempted, but I'm not. Frankfurt has lost 2 games already in the Bundesliga. Leverkusen and Union Berlin. And losing 4-3 and conceding 4 goals against Union Berlin, which are a great Bundesliga side. They are still more of your mid-table Bundesliga side. So conceding that many goals and going against a really, really good side, especially away from home, Atletico Madrid's obviously got this one in the bag. Over to Qarabag, which is facing Copenhagen. And you know what? Considering Qarabag managed to get on a comeback versus Benfica in the last Champions League game and win it 3-2, I don't want to go for them to lose, because I underestimated them. I think a lot of people were expecting Benfica to walk away with that game, but they didn't. So you know what? I'm going to go 1-1. Copenhagen away from home is going to be tough, especially when they're going to be pumped up after a win in the Champions League. Copenhagen, you did do well to get a draw against Leverkusen, and if I would go for a win, I would probably go for the obvious with Copenhagen, but it's away from home, and Qarabag, why not get them a point? They proved me wrong last time, so I can't see why they can't do it again. Back over to Belgium, Union versus Newcastle United. And Newcastle United last time out lost 2-1 to Barcelona. But to be fair, we did not start with a striker. Our main one in Nick Voltemade. And some of the chances the likes of Gordon actually got in front of goal probably could have actually went in if we had a striker like Nick Voltemade, which didn't start for some reason. But going into this game, I expect he is going to start, and I'm absolutely gutted. I cannot believe the Gunners, Arsenal, won 2-1 against Newcastle. I cannot believe it. Right at the last minute. Newcastle 1-0 up for the majority of the game. We invited too much pressure from Arsenal and it just crumbled. But we didn't play bad. We haven't played bad all season. There's not one game, well, other than against Leeds United where I thought we looked a bit dull. Other than that, we've always done very well to push forward with high intensity. And Union getting a 3-1 win away from home against PSV in the Champions League and doing well in the Belgium League is definitely going to give a good fight. Maybe I'm biased, but it could have been a draw against Barcelona. And Newcastle all season have shown that they are a really good side. Even though we are currently 15th in the Premier League table, practically every single game other than Leeds United, I thought we could have easily got points from all those games. And maybe even wins when we got draws. So, I think we're going to win this 2-1. I think we're going to really go for it. And there's going to be a huge reaction after what was an absolute horrible ending to that Arsenal game. Come on, Newcastle United, 2-1. We've got this in the bag. Back over to France, Monaco versus Manchester City. And Manchester City got a 2-0 win versus Napoli. Now, Napoli did obviously get a red card, and that's probably what boosted Man City to get a 2-0 win. It probably would have been a bit closer if the red card didn't happen and if Kevin De Bruyne played all the game. But it is what it is. And Man City, they eventually pulled away against Burnley to win at 5-1 in their last Premier League game. And they are doing decently well in the Premier League. And I think Monaco losing 4-1 against Club Brugge has put the icing on top of the cake that Man City's going to win this. The likes of Erling Haaland up front is going to get a hat-trick. I'm calling it now, he's going to get a hat-trick. Man City are going to win this 3-1 away from home. Monaco, you're doing decently well in Ligue 1, but you did just lose 3-1 against Lorient. So I'm definitely tipping it towards Man City. Over to the Signal Iduna Park in Germany, it's Dortmund versus Athletic Club. And Athletic Club, you're starting to go down the wrong path. You haven't won for a month now. Your last win being August 31st against Real Betis. And in the Champions League, you were holding off Arsenal for some time, but eventually you lost that 2-0 at home. And now you're going to have to go away against Dortmund, which has not lost at all in the Bundesliga. Drew at 4-4 with Juventus. I know that was an absolute crazy game. And Dortmund did bottle that win, so they could have even won. They bottled it in added time. I don't know how they absolutely fumbled it, but they did. But they still played well, and they are definitely playing better than Athletic Club. So I'm going 3-1 to Dortmund. At home as well. With all that said and done, I think that's a fair prediction. But don't get me wrong, Athletic Club, they are going to challenge Dortmund, but considering recent performances, I can't see it happening, Athletic Club. I will give you a goal, that's about it. Back over to Italy, Napoli versus Sporting. Sporting obviously won 4-1 versus Kairat, and that's very good. They are doing much better than Benfica at the moment. They're Portuguese rivals. But against Napoli, it's not going to be a walk in the park like that. Kevin De Bruyne played like 20 minutes against Manchester City. I mean, come on, 20 minutes. He's going against his former club. That game really dulled down ever since that red card happened and they had to rotate with Kevin De Bruyne. Why did Di Lorenzo get red carded? That could have been such a better game. I predicted 3-2 to Napoli, and it may have been if he didn't get a red card. One shot, one on target for Napoli in that game. My gosh. And just looking at it, Napoli just lost against Milan 2-1. But Milan is one of the better sides of Serie A. and they still kept it a close game. But now with Kevin De Bruyne playing more than 20 minutes, with Napoli wanting to react after a 2-1 loss against Milan, and them being home against Sporting, which, no offence to them, I would say is one of the lower, is probably in the lower half of how good these teams are. They're still a good team, but they're probably in the lower half. I feel like it's time for Napoli to shine. I said they're going to win the entire Champions League. I'm going to back that up still, and I'm going to say they're going to win this 3-0 against Sporting. Just as long as Kevin De Bruyne actually lasts more than 20 minutes. Yeah, 3-0 Napoli. Villarreal versus Juventus. I'm going for a Desmond Tutu. I feel like I want to go to Juventus' way. They did well to get 2 goals in added time against Dortmund, but the last 3 games in all competitions, they've drew all of them. 4-4 against Dortmund, 1-1 against Verona, and 1-1 against Atalanta. So considering they've been drawing, and considering Villarreal have also been doing really well in the Liga, I feel like it's going to come down to a draw. I think that is a really fair prediction. Desmond Tutu. Over to the Emirates Stadium, the Gunners versus Olympiacos. Arsenal, how dare you, right at the last minute, take it away from Newcastle. Well done, you did well to take it right at the last minute. But against Olympiacos, it's going to be a bit more easier than against Newcastle. Especially when you're at home, especially when you prove yourself that you can play well against Athletic Club, which is a good team. And when Olympiacos draws 0-0 against Paphos, one of the weaker teams, Paphos, and not only that, Paphos had Bruno Philippe red carded, so you would think Olympiacos would win. No, they couldn't score. Despite having 18 shots, they only had 3 on target. So Olympiacos, against a great Arsenal defence, which are doing really well in the Premier League, has won against Athletic Club in the Champions League. You've got no chance. 4-0 to Arsenal. I'll be very surprised if Olympiacos even gets a goal. Over to the biggest game of match day 2 for the Champions League. Barcelona versus PSG. And I originally had this down as a 3-3 draw because both attacks for both these sides are so good. So goals galore has to happen. But I have changed my prediction after looking at PSG's injury list. Dembele, the Ballon d'Or winner, is injured coming into this. Kvaratskhelia is injured coming into this. 2 amazing attackers. Their captain, Marquinhos, has recently picked up an injury. And Vitinha, although he might be able to play, is also possibly unavailable for this game. And also Desiree Doué and João Neves is also injured as well. So 2 of your best attackers are unavailable, PSG, and you're going away from home. And considering the likes of Marseille beat you in Ligue 1 2-1, I am definitely thinking Barcelona has this one in the bag. I believe Rafinha is injured for Barcelona, but with Yamal coming back, Barcelona are going to be fired up. And Yamal is going to be wanting to prove why he should have got the Ballon d'Or over Dembele. Because it was very close in the Ballon d'Or race. And without Dembele for PSG, it's going to be tough. And Marcus Rashford's going to definitely step up for this game for Barcelona. Definitely after Marcus Rashford scored 2 fantastic goals against Newcastle United. The first goal was a header, which was a really good header. The second one, even better. What a strike. And Marcus Rashford looks really good. And with all of that said, I think Barcelona's going to win. At home as well, I'm going 3-2 to Barcelona. But you can see how close it is. That just because of injuries and home advantage is the only reason why I'm actually going Barcelona. But I look forward to this game. Over to Germany, Leverkusen versus PSV. And it does look like a draw, but I don't want to sit on the fence. I don't want to go 1-1. So I'm going to go for a winner. With home advantage, and overall, I think Leverkusen has been playing better than PSV. I am going to go Leverkusen to win this 2-1. I know Leverkusen only drew 2-2 against Copenhagen, but I've just got a sense feeling at home, with Leverkusen playing pretty well in Bundesliga, I'm going to back them up again and say they're going to win. But I back them up saying that they were going to win against Copenhagen. And I was wrong. So if Leverkusen doesn't prove me right, I'm definitely going to rethink future games with Leverkusen. But PSV, don't get me wrong, you are a fantastic side. And it will be 1-1 for the majority of the game, but Grimaldo will get a late minute winner to make it 2-1. And it's going to be so close. Over to Champions League, goal of match day 1, and I'm giving it to Marcus Rashford. I think everyone is. I'm really gutted that Barcelona won, but that goal, whoa, that is a rocket. How well did I do at predicting in match day 1 of the Champions League? Well, I got 7 points out of 36 points. That is terrible. But this match day, it's going to be different. I'm more confident than ever. Because I predicted those match day 1 fixtures at 1:23 AM. So I wasn't properly thinking. But here I am. But get your predictions down below. And I'll see you next time. Toodaloo. Have a lovely, lovely day.